If you are someone who habitually overeats and you know that letting go of this is going to make you feel so much better in your body, but you just don't know how to stop, then this video is for you. I'm Karina, and welcome to my channel where we discuss practical ways to elevate our wellness from a mind, body, soul perspective. Overeating can be sneaky. It can affect us even when we have good intentions, even when we otherwise make healthy choices. When I had given up processed foods and I was pretty health conscious, I was still trying to justify eating large quantities of sweets late at night by choosing the lesser evil option. So instead of cookies, I would eat honey and fruits because that wasn't so bad, right? Well, the first part of this is that even when we're eating high sugar foods, even high fructose foods in large quantities later at night, when our body is not as insulin sensitive, it can have negative impacts on our health. But then also, I had to address the broader question of why I was overeating in the first place. What void was I trying to fill with this habit? Overeating is also not something that can be overcome through willpower alone. I can say this from personal experience. Willpower would help me for maybe 2 to 3 days, but then I would go back to it. I would go back to that habit. It wasn't a long-term solution. And the same goes for supplements. I recently heard berberine as an herbal supplement being advertised for people who experience late night sugar cravings. And berberine can be a really wonderful natural tool to help lower blood sugar, but it's more of an interim tool, right? It's not something that is a long-term solution because it also does not address the root cause. And the root cause of overeating, just like with everything else that I talk about on this channel, has both a physiological and a mental, emotional, spiritual component to it. It's helpful to see this habit from the perspective that everything that we do, everything that our body does subconsciously is attempting to meet a very valid need. Even if the strategy is not optimal, the need itself is true and it has to be addressed. And approaching our search for the root cause in this way allows us to see it with compassion and understanding. And that's so important because there's often a lot of shame associated with overeating. It's the story of we should be able to control ourselves, but we can't. But it's not about being lazy or undisciplined. It's our body's way of trying to meet a need of ours in the best way that it knows how. And in the case of overeating, that need is to fill a void, both a physical and nutritional void and an emotional void. So let's start with the nutritional void. When we are not feeding our body enough satiating and nutrient-dense foods throughout the day, our body is going to find the quickest and most efficient way to deliver us the highest amount of energy. And that's going to be through food that can provide high glucose spikes at the end of the day. And so we want to be consuming more satisfying, more satiating food. Often that's going to come from healthy fats like avocados, egg yolks, grass-fed butter, yogurt, collagenous material. And then we want to combine that with some high quality protein that helps our body repair and build itself back up. So I consume 0.8 grams per pound of my body weight in protein, which averages out to about 100 grams of protein. When I combine this with those healthy fats, plus I take care to eat foods that have high micronutrient content, like organ meats, which have a lot of B vitamins in them, and oysters and egg yolks are considered nature's multivitamins, then I'm feeling very satisfied by the end of the day. And if I'm not eating enough of either of these three things, healthy fats, high quality protein, and foods with high micronutrient content, then I am tempted to eat a lot of sugary things later on in the night. And then there's the other side of things, the emotional void. So this is an opportunity for self-inquiry, to ask yourself with compassion, where specifically in my life is this void coming from? Is it that a need for socializing or companionship is not being met? Is it that you're overworking and this is your subconscious way of rebelling or partying? And that was definitely the case for me, is that overeating was my subconscious way of being defiant, of saying I needed more fun and play in my life. I had this mindset that I had picked up in graduate school, this work hard, play hard mentality, because it was a very high stress environment. So we would work and study really hard, and then we would also party really hard. We would drink and all these things. And I had continued this pattern in a low level way through overeating, even long afterwards. And it was time for me to let go of this. And so first I had to acknowledge the underlying emotions of just first deep exhaustion, and then also this need to break free from the mold. And then I had to allow for those emotions to move through me, to really notice the physical sensations of those emotions. And I have another video on this channel that talks about how to release emotions from a somatic perspective, meaning using the physical body. And I'll include a link to that video in the description box. So then once I had released those emotions and I was ready to embrace these new priorities of balancing work and play, I took the steps to realign and redesign my life in accordance with those new priorities. So I cut some responsibilities, or I designated others in my business. I set cutoff times for myself each day and more modest weekly goals. I also had to carve out some more intentional play time, some more fun time of meaningful connections and interactions with loved ones, spending time exploring the outdoors, writing poetry, things that were not on a to-do list, things that would just activate those feelings of play and joy in me. And then also, arguably on the deepest level, acknowledging the fact that my value comes from my presence and not from anything that I could accomplish or get done. Coming back to my meditation practice of just being content with being for extended periods of time. I had what I sometimes call my Eckhart Tolle phase of my life, because Eckhart Tolle, when he first experienced his spiritual awakening, he spent some time, 2 years about on a park bench, just being in bliss. And on a low level, I had that kind of experience myself. I had this little hiatus of about a year when I had left my traditional 9 to 5 job, where I was just meditating for like half of my day. And so now when my life had become a little bit busier, still incorporating some of that in, still infusing that time of just being in my own presence. So having a habit of overeating is actually an opportunity to become more in tune with yourself, to optimize your body's nutrition on a physical level, but also to understand and acknowledge and express these deeper aspects of yourself from an emotional and spiritual place, to grow and to become more of your authentic self. If you found value in this video, feel free to like it. And if you'd like to learn about more ways to feel amazing in your mind and your body, then feel free to subscribe to this channel.